How do you lose yourself without even noticing? And how do you survive someone who convinces you that pain is love? This story starts small and ends somewhere no one ever expects. Personally, it started small. I didn't even realise what was happening. I was deeply in love with this man. I valued his opinion, trusted him, wanted to make him happy, and needed to make him happy. So when he told me I needed to cut people out of my life, I did. When he said I needed to quit my jobs, I did. When he wanted things done a certain way, I did it. The people around me knew what was happening, but I never realised. I was happy because we never fought. I was easy to manipulate. But the scariest part, abuse doesn't always begin with violence. Sometimes it begins with trust. Then we had a real first fight. A major one. He tried to turn me against my grandmother, the one person I knew would never hurt me. She raised me, she is my best friend. So when I refused to accept his reasoning, refused to say he was right, he hit me. He slapped me across the face. And he didn't stop until I was on the floor begging. Later, he apologised, said he didn't know why he did it, and I forgave him. You might think that would be the moment someone leaves, but what happens when love convinces you to stay? It was like a switch flipped. At first, it was occasional, only when we fought, but he always apologised. But somehow, he always made it feel like my fault too. I started it. I pushed him to that point. I made him angry. And I believed him. I promised to do better. I promised to remember the things he needed. It wasn't his fault that things had to be just right. It was mine for not doing them. I deserved the broken bones, every bruise, every cut. At least that's what I told myself. How far would someone go to keep the peace if they believed suffering was the price of being loved? So, I coped the only way I knew how. I tried harder. The house stayed spotless, dinner had to be perfect, the kids had to stay quiet, he had to be sexually satisfied. Sure, I left him a few times, but he would beg me to come home. He made me feel like I was overreacting. And the truth is, I was desperate to be loved by the man I knew he could be, not the hateful version of him that crept through the shadows. I told myself the occasional pain was worth it if I was loved. But sometimes the version of someone we love only exists in the hope we hold on to. About 2 years ago, I left for 5 weeks. And for the first time in a long time, I was happy. I had started over, then I found out I was pregnant. I already had 2 kids with absent fathers, and I didn't want a third child to feel that same pain. He was also the only father my oldest 2 children had ever known. So I went back, hoping the baby would make things what they were supposed to be. Finally, maybe I would be good enough. But some choices are made from hope, others from fear. Sometimes they look exactly the same. It didn't fix anything. I miscarried at 12 weeks because he beat me so badly. In my head, that should have been enough. But over the course of that year, I took many beatings. I knew when the kids went to bed, I was going to be hurt. Eventually, I stopped caring. I thought maybe one day he would kill me. And maybe then we would finally be free. My children would go to my family, and I wouldn't have to suffer anymore. Then one night, after he grabbed my son for the first time, I stood up to him. He nearly killed me. I was hospitalised for almost a month. And if you think this is where the story ends, it isn't, because survival sometimes begins at rock bottom. When I got home, he told me to leave. In his mind, he thought it would make me beg to stay, make me sorry he had hurt me again. But when that didn't work, he disappeared. Another manipulation tactic. Except this time, it gave me something I hadn't had in years. Time. I loaded my van with anything that would fit. Then he came home, and as I packed the last of it, he started again, really badly. He fractured my left wrist, broke my nose, swelled my right eye shut, and cut my arm open. He left boot-shaped bruises across my stomach. I needed 25 stitches in my head. The neighbours saw him beating me in the driveway and called the police. After they arrested him, I got medical help. Then I ran. I put my dog in the car, picked my kids up from school, went to the bank and emptied the account. I stayed in a hotel for a week until I could see. Then I drove to Georgia. After everything, you'd think survival would feel victorious, but surviving often starts with simply escaping. Now it's July. I'm working. I'm living back in my hometown in Pennsylvania. My kids are happy. He hasn't contacted me in 2 months, and somehow I survived. I coped the only way I knew how, and I made it out. People always ask why abused women go back. The answer is painful. Because we believe our abuser is the only person capable of loving us. And for anyone hearing this who is living something similar, please remember this. You have value. Please get help. Please don't become a statistic like I almost did. Sometimes surviving doesn't look heroic. Sometimes it looks like leaving. And sometimes leaving saves your life.
I genuinely think growing up around abuse completely destroyed my ability to recognise it, because for 4 years I've been calling this relationship normal. And that's the scariest part. Not the screaming, not the threats, not even the moments where his eyes go completely black with rage. The scariest part is how long I convinced myself that this was just what love looked like. I grew up with an abusive dad, so chaos always felt familiar to me. Yelling felt normal, fear felt normal, walking on eggshells trying to avoid somebody's mood swings, completely normal. So when I got into my current relationship 4 years ago, I honestly didn't see the warning signs. I've got a 5-year-old son from a previous relationship, and my fiancée and I have got an 8-month-old daughter together. For the longest time, I thought that this was just how relationships worked behind closed doors. I thought every couple had explosive fights. I thought every man became terrifying when he got angry. I thought love was supposed to feel unstable sometimes. But lately, something has shifted, and now I'm starting to realise that this might not be normal at all. The verbal abuse became so common that I barely even reacted to it anymore. I've been called every insult imaginable. Dumbass, stupid, crazy. Anything he can weaponise against me when he's angry. But what scares me the most is how he changes during these moments. His eyes go dark, like genuinely dark. And once he reaches that point, you just can't reason with him anymore. If I try to leave the room during an argument, he follows me, room to room, over and over again. Even when I stop talking completely and just sit there silently, he keeps going. It's like he needs me trapped in that argument with him. Like he can't calm down until I'm emotionally destroyed too. And somehow, every single time, it becomes my fault in the end. For years, I minimised everything because technically, he's never punched me. He's never blacked my eye. He's never flat out hit me across the face. So part of me kept thinking I was being dramatic. Maybe this wasn't real abuse. But then I started looking at things that have happened. Like the times he wrestled me on the bed, trying to take my phone. One time I fell so hard I bruised my leg badly enough it scarred. And afterward, he laughed about it. That honestly messed me up more than the bruise itself. Because how do you hurt someone you supposedly love and laugh? And And once I started replaying everything in my head, I realised just how much I'd normalised. He's ripped the shower curtain down whilst I was showering during arguments. He screams so loudly the entire house shakes. He slams doors, throws things. He's threatened to take our daughter and disappear. I even have a recording of him saying if I ever left him, he'd do horrible things to me that I couldn't even imagine. And the worst part? Sometimes I don't even process how bad it was until days later. That's how numb I've become to it. And honestly, I think there's so many people sitting in toxic relationships convincing themselves that it doesn't count as abuse just because it wasn't a punch. That's exactly what I've been doing. I kept explaining it away. Well, he didn't technically hit me. Well, he didn't squeeze my neck. Well, maybe I'm just too sensitive. But then I started realising putting your hands on someone's neck at all is terrifying. Wrestling somebody to control them is physical intimidation. Pulling someone's hair while they're holding a baby is abuse. And making a 5-year-old cry because he watched his mom get hurt, that changes something inside you. I think deep down, I already knew this wasn't okay. I just didn't want it to be true. One of the hardest parts about all of this is how badly it messes with your reality afterwards. Because once he calms down, suddenly I'm the problem. I'm crazy, I'm dramatic, I push him too far. And eventually, after hearing that enough times, you genuinely stop trusting yourself. Especially because I already struggle with mental health issues, and he uses that against me constantly. He tells me nobody would believe me, that people would think I'm unstable, that they'd assume I'm making everything up. And honestly, part of me started believing him. That's what emotional abuse does. It slowly erases your ability to trust your own instincts. I'm also 8 months postpartum, exhausted, barely sleeping, emotionally drained, trying to take care of 2 kids while constantly existing in survival mode. And instead of grace or support, I get cruelty. No patience, no softness, no understanding, just criticism, intimidation, and emotional chaos. And I think what finally cracked something inside me was realising my children are watching this happen. My son has cried after seeing him hurt me. My daughter's growing up around this tension. And suddenly it stopped being just about me surviving, because now I'm terrified of what he is teaching them about love too. I think the saddest realisation I've had through all of this is that I genuinely don't know what healthy love is supposed to feel like. I've spent so much of my life around fear, screaming, manipulation, instability, that peace almost feels unfamiliar to me. And that's heartbreaking, because somewhere along the way I started believing love and fear were supposed to exist together. That being terrified of somebody sometimes was normal. That if someone loved you enough, the good moments would somehow cancel out the bad ones. But they don't. The fear always stays. So I think the reason why I'm finally talking about this out loud is because I need someone to say it clearly. Yes, wrestling me from my phone is physical abuse. Yes, injuring me while trying to control me is abuse. Yes, threatening me, stalking me, trapping me in arguments, screaming in my face, throwing things, ripping things down, pulling my hair, putting hands on my neck, humiliating me, and convincing me it's all somehow my fault is abuse too. Even if there is no black eye, even if there is no punch, even if he says he loves me afterwards. And honestly, saying it out loud feels terrifying, but also weirdly freeing. I don't know exactly what happens next. I don't know if I'm ready yet. I don't know how you rebuild yourself after years of living like this. But maybe the fact that I'm finally questioning it, finally saying it out loud, finally admitting that this isn't normal, maybe that's the beginning of something. And maybe somebody listening to this right now needed to hear it too, because love was never supposed to feel like fear.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoy deep dives into dark truths and untold stories, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. It helps the channel more than you know. We release new videos every Sunday and Thursday between 6 and 8 p.m. BST. Until next time, remember, the deepest scars are often invisible, but survival is its own kind of strength.